the Late Frontside Shove It, a tech trick that's easier than it seems. A late frontside shove it is exactly what it sounds like. You ollie, and once you're in the air, you kick the board with your feet in order to make it do a late frontside rotation. Some tricks to know before learning this one are an ollie, a frontside 180, and it helps if you can do your frontside 180s where you land on the nose and you pivot your board. That's kind of going to help with your front foot motion later on when you're learning this trick. And also you can learn frontside shove-its. It's not necessary, but it'll kind of help you with where your back foot should be. So the late frontside shove-it is made of 3 parts. There's the pop, the late push with your feet, and the landing. The foot placement of this trick is going to have your back foot in the heel side pocket and your front foot hanging off the toe side just a bit. And I think it's easier to get the rotation if your front foot is a little bit closer to the bolts. Your back foot should be in that pocket so you have some leverage when it comes time to push the board around. So the first thing you want to do is practice some ollies with your footing in that position. It may feel a little awkward at first depending on how you do your ollies, but you want to get used to having your toes slightly off the edge and your foot in that back pocket. So with this trick, what's going to be happening in the air is your back foot is going to be pushing the tail forward in front of you, and your front foot is going to kind of be pulling the board back towards you. But your back foot isn't actually pushing or scooping with your toes. You're going to end up ollieing and kicking the board with your heel. But it'll still help to kind of kick the rotation of a frontside shove it a few times, just to get your back foot used to being pushed in front of you. So your first step is to practice a few ollies where you're kicking the board with your heel. This can feel kind of strange at first, and you may end up flipping the board over in weird ways a few times, but that'll be fixed later on once you add your front foot to the equation. Right now your goal is just to be able to pop an ollie and then kick forward with your heel. So practice this motion a few times and see if you can get the rotation. Like I said, don't worry about landing on the board yet. Your goal here is just to get the feeling of the rotation. So the other half of this trick is using your front foot to kind of help bring the board around. Your front foot is going to be pulling backwards on the board, but it's also at the same time going to kind of be pushing down to fling the board around. This is where those nose pivot 180s can come in handy, because the front foot has a very similar motion. Watch how my front foot goes up with the board, but once I start to come down, it swings around behind me and actually brings the board's nose with it. The late frontside shove it has essentially the same motion with your front foot, except you're not turning your whole body, you're just kicking your leg around the same way. So the next step would be to try and put both of these foot movements together. It probably won't happen right away, and you may end up kicking the board out in front of you or to the side or just in weird ways. But it's one of those things where it takes a few practice tries to kind of get the sweet spot of what you're supposed to do. This is another one of those tricks where I personally think it's easier to do while moving, so I would suggest practicing that a few times. I feel that the momentum of moving forward helps your back foot kick the board and keep it underneath you. So try these motions over and over again. Try and get closer and see what happens. If you get the timing right between kicking the board with your heel and pulling the board's nose backwards with your front foot, then you should get a pretty even rotation where it doesn't flip over. And hopefully your timing will get better and better, and eventually you'll be able to flip this around and put both feet on it. This was one of those tricks where when I first started it, it seemed really hard and the concept of it was really awkward and strange. But once I landed my first one, it kind of clicked, and I can do them basically every single time now. Also, try to not rotate the late shove it too soon after popping your ollie. This shouldn't be too much of a problem because luckily you can do these pretty low off the ground, but just don't try to rush your feet. And just try and remember it's all of the timing and your feet working in concert that's going to make this work. you have to ollie, and then at the same time, push your heel forward and pull your front toe back, and then let the board rotate and land on it. So here are a few late frontside shove-its. Pay attention to what both my feet are doing, especially my back one with the heel kick, and the timing of both my feet and when I actually do the rotation. So like always, this was just a brief overview of how I do my late frontside shove-its. Hopefully if you needed some help learning this trick, it gave you some new insights or something that maybe helped you. And if it did, or you have any suggestions, or you like the video, or anything, just let me know in the comments below. I've had a lot of trick tip requests recently, and I am working on getting them all done. So anyways, thank you for watching, and you guys can like and subscribe if you want.